Nice. Hello, everyone. I think there's a few people I've seen before and a few new faces as well, so that's nice to see you all. My first question is, what is Bitcoin? I wanted to ask this to the audience. If anybody has their own idea of what Bitcoin is, feel free to shout out. The first crypto, that's correct. Yes. I have this description here, that Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that allows for peer-to-peer transactions over the internet without the need for a central authority. So this is very powerful technology, and it has it's a simple idea that has quite far-reaching effects. We have there's a couple ways to get Bitcoin. Of course, mining was the original way, where you could mine your own Bitcoin, basically print it at home. However, that's become much more difficult to do due to the computational power it takes. So realistically, there's two options for us. There's centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. I'm sure people are familiar with this if you're at Crypto Hub, to be honest. But for an example, a centralized exchange might be Binance, or Revolut is another option as well. It's very easy. And then decentralized exchanges, there's BISC. If anybody is familiar with BISC, they have a new interface that makes it very easy to buy on a decentralized marketplace. However, buying Bitcoin is not the full way to sovereignty. You have to own your Bitcoin. So if you buy Bitcoin on an exchange, I consider that half of the step there. What you want to do is you want to own it for yourself, and that means owning the private keys to the Bitcoin. And that's where the phrase "not your keys, not your coins" comes from. It's like a principle in the space, because as well, there's an example of my Gazan friend. I approached her about Bitcoin, about the idea. She thought about it before. Her mom had actually engaged with it. She had a Binance account, and unfortunately, Binance blocked people from Palestine accessing their accounts. So in that case, the Bitcoin community, the technology failed her in that sense. So there's a real example there of not your keys, not your coins. So if you want to, first you get your Bitcoin from an exchange, for example, but then you have to send it to your own wallet. And that can be done going on bitcoin.org. There's a nice helper. You can choose if you have mobile wallets or desktop wallets. That's where you truly get the sovereignty. And once you have your private key to yourself, you're the sole owner of it. There's nobody else that can take that Bitcoin from you, or if you lose the private key, for example, that means it's gone forever. There's nobody that can help you. You can't report it. You have to. It's the cost of being your own bank, essentially. So yeah, these are just some of the basic principles of what Bitcoin is, what it does, and how it functions. Does anybody have any questions before moving on? Yes.
Thank you. Are you aware or informed about which is the real situation in Gaza? In using internet and any technical stuff that you need to be exposed to this kind of financial, way. Secondly, I don't know if you were with me, but there was an event probably before the summer where I would express my worries about what happens in Gaza, because the Israel government destroyed completely the centralized blockchain where there were all the data of the people, with the anographic data, birth and so forth, and even data related to their academic titles, profession, where they were chartered to do the activities, obviously in a regular way. And this is a very bad example to understand what it means for real people to have a centralized blockchains in the hands of the government. Can you completely be switched out from the real world? So I would like to share that you can share with all of us the real situation that we have now in October in Gaza, if you can. Thank you.
Can you just elaborate on centralized blockchain? What do you mean with that?
There was a centralized blockchain built by Israeli government, where all the data of Israeli people and included the Gazan people in occupied territories, where were registered all the data, anaggraphic data, birth and so forth, and the academic titles or the registration for the professions. Like you are chartered to do an accountant, you are chartered to do a doctor, you are chartered to do any kind of legal professional activities. And what they did, they completed this information for the people of Gaza and the other occupied territories, so they cannot be recognizable anymore from the real world as for what they are. They disappear from the world.
Okay, yeah, so on your first point about the internet connection, so as Ferris mentioned, I've been in contact with this family friend of mine on a daily basis, more or less over the last year, and yeah, she's had quite a lot of troubles with the internet. It'll be very patchy. When we call, for example, we call for like 2 minutes and then it cuts out, and then we have to call back for another 2 minutes, and then it's like constantly like it's very difficult to work with. And she had when I first proposed, if like asked her about Bitcoin, proposed the idea if she's thought about it. She tried to load up bitcoin.org. I linked that to her and she couldn't open it. I was shocked to hear that. I was wondering if that was like an internet blockage thing, but she's not the most technical either, so I didn't feel like I could propose a VPN or any of these workarounds. But then it turns out that she had an old iOS as well. She wasn't able to access the App Store as well. So for some of the Bitcoin apps I was proposing, she wasn't able to download it on her iPhone. We were thinking about her aunt's Android phone, for example, that we could download the open source code and run it that way. But then we figured out that she needed to upgrade her iPhone from an iOS, and with the internet, it took her over 2 weeks to upgrade her operating system because the internet was so slow. She'd have to go back every single day. It'd be like treading along just a couple percent and like saying like 16 hours, 24 hours, 3 days. And she just kept persistent with it. She had to walk as well because she's not like, so she's living in tents as well, like since she's been displaced like 5 times, which is pretty crazy. And she has to find Wi-Fi in different places. And where she found it it's very hot, very sunny. She's in the sun while she's waiting for her phone. She got sunburned as well, doing all of this. But after 2 weeks of like persisting, because a lot of her fundraising support was through Instagram. We had a community there. And she wasn't able to open Instagram, the app itself as well. So internet was becoming a huge issue. But she eventually upgraded her phone. She now has better access, and she's able to download some apps now. But yeah, the internet is it's possible is the thing, because with like she doesn't have to be online to receive donations, as people know. What people have to do is just send their public address, and we can send it there at any time. She doesn't have to be online to receive it, unlike I think in some Lightning network you might have to be online to accept it. I'm not too experienced with that, but with Bitcoin, all she had to do was just generate an address and send the public address and keep her private key to herself. I had to explain the same things, not your keys, not your coins, in this case, because it's part of the principles, and it's yeah. But they were able to send out some addresses, and that's something we can work with. And your second point about the Israeli blockchain, centralized blockchain, I actually didn't know much about this. It sounds terrifying because with blockchain, once the data is on chain, it's immutable and it's there to stay, unless it's like, if it's a private one that you say they destroyed some records as well somehow. Maybe it was a very specific blockchain that they built. I don't know what it was, but I also know that the EU is implementing blockchain because there's a lot of refugees now that had to leave their home dramatically, and they didn't bring all of their certificates. So there is a program that the EU is implementing for refugees to have recover their certificates if they're applying for degrees abroad, for example, or moving abroad. So that's another way blockchain has been implemented in this crazy situation.
There will be, after the questions here, a whole presentation on the situation in Gaza right now, and we are getting to that.
Yeah. Any more Bitcoin questions before we move on? Does anybody own Bitcoin? You don't have to if you don't feel comfortable, but has anybody never owned Bitcoin? Maybe that's an easier question. Okay, we got a few hands. Okay. That's good to know, because at Crypto Hub, we like to welcome everybody, no matter if you're like a beginner or you're very experienced. We try to accommodate everybody and welcome new people into the space as well, because it's all about sharing our knowledge and doing our own research and such. So, you have a meme book? Book of meme. Okay. Nice, okay. So we got some shitcoins in the house. So we have a quick demonstration next then.
Okay, MJ just asked you if you have some Bitcoin. I'm going to ask you, do you have a Lightning wallet? Like I suggested in the beginning, because we're going to have a demo now. Anybody here with a working Lightning wallet on their phone right now? Yes? You? Come, I sent you some Bitcoin now. Congratulations, here the first. See, when I told you in the beginning to better download it? Okay. It's difficult to see, but maybe you can show, like with your phone on the screen, how it looks like.
I can sense them as well.
So MJ, of course, has a smart feature to connect the phone to the screen here. I don't. We should have thought about that before. But what is happening now is, your name was Valerio, is going to show me his public key, his address. A public key is like an address. If you send a letter to someone, you need an address. But you cannot enter the house because you don't have the private key. The private key is like the key to the house. He's showing me his address now.
It's like an IBAN number.
Like an IBAN number. Okay, I'm going to scan it right now. Oops. And now I'm going to send him €1 million worth of Bitcoin. Okay, it's just going to be one. He's almost close. It's €1 that I sent to him. Okay, congratulations. We don't have the demo ready. Are there any people that never used a Lightning wallet and just installed it today maybe? Anyone here? Anyone who has a fresh Lightning wallet right now? Yeah? Okay, come up here. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
I have it up.
Okay, this is the demo. So here we have a beginner. The wallet of Satoshi. He was smart. He downloaded the wallet of Satoshi. What's your name, sir?
Raul.
Raul, welcome. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Do you know how to use the wallet of Satoshi?
I just got it today, but I guess I press receive, show you my key, and then you're going to scan that and send it.
One click. You click the receive button, and the wallet shows. Yeah. I'm going to click the send wallet button, and I'm going to scan it. There's an...
I'll do it. I'll have it on camera.
Perfect. We have the demo on camera now. Wow. So MJ is not going to send €1. He's going to send 1 Satoshi? No.
Let's go 111.
I think you can change it to euro actually. If you click... No, €100? Okay. Oh, you sent €10? Anyway, guys.
A pint of a beer.
I encourage you all to do this. If you don't have a wallet, and normally, me personally, I don't use real wallets on my phone with private keys, and the wallet of Satoshi is a very easy to use wallet. It's like your physical wallet that you carry with you in your pocket, where you have like maybe €10 or €50 with you. It's not for the large amounts. The large amounts, you leave them in the bank, or if you're smart, you leave them under your pillow in your bed.
It arrived already.
Already arrived, that's done. So the idea is you can see now how easy it is to send Satoshi from one person to another. You can buy coffee with it, or you can send Bitcoin to Gaza. And that's where we are going to continue now. But if you're clever, try to install the wallet of Satoshi or any other wallet that works well for you, and you're ready. Michael?
What I've encouraged for my friend in Palestine, in Gaza, just Bitcoin mainnet because I didn't felt I had time to explain Lightning and have her online to accept and stuff. So if anyone wants to do real Bitcoin, we'll talk about that next. So I just wanted to give some historical context. I won't spend too long on this, but what they've gone through over the last year is just completely unprecedented and like inexplicably insane. These two graphics on each side, this is all over just the last year alone. These red signs, these are all bombs on these areas in Gaza. And in the middle, this is the history. So a lot of the narrative over the last year has lasted. That this began on October 7th. It's gone on a lot before then, and it's just continuing to spiral, growing beyond just Gaza now, as we've seen last night. But yeah. This is my friend Hayam, who Ferris mentioned. We had the fundraiser for her. She had her family. They were displaced 5 times, as I mentioned. One time they were caught in a building as well. That she had to leave with bruises, and she's been in tents for 10 months, 11 months now. We since had to fundraise for a new tent, and then it rained 2 weeks ago, and even the new tent just soaked everything. It was I can't begin to say how hard everything is. She sent me a picture today of a fruit. I think I can share that as well. And she was so excited because it's the first time she's had a fruit in almost a year. She found a guava on a tree. So that's what she found today. And yeah, even before last week, we were texting. I was asking her about the rates that they pay to exchange. So I'll talk more about the rates, but to exchange from a bank in Palestine to cash, they charge 20%, which is a huge fee. But then she was excited. Someone brought her out in a carriage, which was very fitting, I thought. And she had cold water, and last week was the first time she had cold water in a year. So there's lots of things like this. We take very easily for granted here, and this stuff it feels like it's very far away, a different place. But here in Malta, it's over there. There's just water between us and them over there. It's really not that far, and it's such human principles that they're just trying to survive, and they're just bombarded each and every time. But thankfully this was a good story, because last time I presented we were in the early stages, I guess, of fundraising. Thankfully over the last few months we were able to reach our goal of 30,000. It's a very high goal. That's mainly because the border fees that they were being charged between Gaza and Egypt, they charge $5,000 per person, even though where she was staying in Gaza, which was the clip I showed you here, she had to evacuate before that happened. But she was only 1 hour away from the border, and they were charging $5,000 per person. And that was, yeah, they're being exploited in every way. There's so many things for them to get through. But thankfully, we made her goal. And this is her just last week. I thought I'd share that. She's one of the strongest people I know, despite everything going on. But yeah, the problem I wanted to outline in this story was basically all the intermediaries that were involved in this whole process. So for her to have this fundraiser on GoFundMe, she wasn't able to host it herself. She needed to find somebody in Europe who had a European bank account or a US bank account as well. There's a limited amount of countries that can host a GoFundMe page. So she found me, thankfully, through my wonderful and beautiful girlfriend. And I was able to host the GoFundMe. So when the funds came in, I was withdrawing to my Irish bank account. And when it's so many of these funds, like that we're fundraising, she's trusting me, who she's never met in person. She just knows me online and like through friends and so on. So, but thankfully, even GoFundMe themselves at the beginning, when you were donating to GoFundMe, they said they didn't charge organizers for using the platform, and while that was true, they did charge to withdraw, and that was like a 3% fee immediately gone. So you can see out of the 30,000 we raised, there was over 1,000 gone immediately from, and these are fundraising donations. This is people giving like €5, €10, whatever they can afford. And this is like the best option this is like what most Gazans are using. And I have a list of here. Obviously, I think the quality isn't so great, but I was able to send out all these transactions to another trusted contact of her in Egypt, because for her to cross the border, she had to have somebody in Egypt to pay on her behalf in cash. They don't accept bank transfer. It has to be in cash. So the immense quantities of cash that these families have to produce when they're no longer able to like make their own living. She's my friend Hayam. She's a pharmacist. Her and her sister opened a pharmacy in Gaza. They supported the local community, even sometimes for free when people needed it. That pharmacy was bombed. They had to move, and now they had to. They're desperate for support. So I was able to send all these funds to Egypt. This transaction from my Irish bank account to the Egyptian bank account, it cost me €15 per transaction, but they also have their own exchange rate. I had to exchange it from euro into dollars, so there's like fees lost there. And then there's fees lost when receiving in Egypt as well. So the receiver bank, they take a few hundred for each transaction as well. And currently the funds are still sitting safely in Egypt with her trusted contact, ready for when the borders open up, and they will someday. And she'll be one of the first out. So in the meantime, we're trying to support more families to be in a position where they can act when the time comes. So all of this, it introduces a lot of so many middlemen along the way taking fees at every single step. There's another one, I was able to send a transaction to her for other things, just kind of basic things. She needed a new tent, for example, and like food, water, a solar cell as well to charge her phones, things like this. I was able to send her out another amount, and that was sent to her like uncle, I think it was. And he was able to receive it, but yeah, as I mentioned, the fee is like 20% to exchange into cash, and that's like between Palestinians, because there's a very limited amount of cash in Palestine at the moment. So people who have like a lot of cash, they're using that to make more money. That's just how things are operating. So yeah. Also, things are very expensive now, as we all know. I don't really need to go into too much detail. But that brings me to why Bitcoin. So I see Bitcoin as being helpful in this situation. It might not be the silver bullet to all of this, but I think it has an immense amount of potential. Obviously, it has a borderless nature. So anyone, as we saw here, we were able to send transactions in seconds between people here. And all you need is an internet. And the network is very secure. It's one of the most secure infrastructures. It's been since 2009. It's been live since 2009, and nobody's been able to hack it. And yeah.
So I need to ask about the situation in Gaza right now, because you might know a bit better than I would have known if I have to read the news. So would it be possible for them to use the internet at this point in time? And like, for example, back here, if I need to transfer some money, I just Revolut you, right? I just have the app and I do it. Would they have something that is working? I know that would requires a mobile phone, internet, and electricity. So would that be an option right now? And if it's an option for them. Yeah, for example, she would have a Revolut account, and then she needs to pay others. She would be able to do so.
they're not able to they're not able to make a Revolut account. I think you have to be European or have some more. I don't know. So Revolut's not an option for them. They have Bank of Palestine, which is like the national bank, but that's been bombed, of course. And I think at one stage there was one central bank left, but when we were doing this transfer, she was like, the place is surrounded with people and guns. If she goes and tries to withdraw funds, it's just going to get stolen immediately. So it's just not an option. They do have an app called Banky, but not everybody has it, and I don't think it's used too much. I don't know. I don't really know why. Maybe because not many people have it. I think it takes time to set up. It takes a couple months to set up, but and not everyone has it. So yeah. For us, like, what I see as the easiest option for us is, and what I've been doing is, you can, on Revolut, they have the option to buy crypto, and you can send that crypto directly to. Yeah, like these transactions, there's no like it's peer to peer. There's no intermediaries. And
Israel is not trying to have a situation where it's limiting these transactions.
No, it just involves a lot of education. That's the most important thing, because not many people, like, I know it's been out like 15, however many years, but not many people know how. They're not comfortable with how to use it. It's still very new. Understanding it takes a while to like grasp. And even Aya, who I'm going to show next, she's in IT. She works in IT still. She's based in the north of Gaza, and I was able to talk her through it, so I'm comfortable with it. Like, she was able to approach it basically. With Hayam, for example, when I was talking to her, I think it was a bit overwhelming. Like, and as well, it's like a crisis situation. She's like, I don't want to have to deal with technology right now. I just need to survive. And like, but it is entirely possible that people start learning this new technology, and they are able to just like peer-to-peer Lightning Network, like we just did right now. It's completely possible. Just needs an internet connection on one behalf, even, like, not even both ways, unless it's Lightning. But it's possible. They do still have internet. It's like, it might be patchy, but it's possible, and it is something worth thinking about.
So simple but important question. So like in a place like Gaza, despite all the technical challenges, let's say these are overcome, is there a way to change Bitcoin in cash? Because I don't think people exchange Bitcoin, right? But is there a way to exchange in cash and actually use if you manage to send it?
That's a great question, and it's not exactly clear again, because there's such a limited amount of cash in Gaza. It might be difficult to get, and then the rates, you might experience similar rates of like 20% in favor of cash still. But I think there is inherent value in Bitcoin. There's only 21 million in existence. It's rare by nature. It has international value. It's not just like restricted to like regions. It's like it's a global currency.
Right. I mean, we agree about this. The problem is sometimes we abstract and we are in the blockchain, virtual world, and then when you go in the real world like Gaza, but even if you go like in African country like in Kenya, I mean, it's possible to change Bitcoin in cash, but they had like a micropayment system like M-Pesa, which basically was developed by Vodafone, and they use it because it's simple and you need a simple phone without smartphone not being smart. So the problem always is the interface with the real world when you go in this underdeveloped place and or where there's an emergency, basically.
Yeah, I think it's worth pursuing. I think I've been telling her like it's worth like experimenting with, because at the moment they're very stuck. Her GoFundMe is like it's stopped. She's run out of. She's open to trying anything at this stage, and this is like beyond the value. It's the idea that they can own things for themselves. They finally get sovereignty over their own funds. All of this GoFundMe stuff that I did, the 30,000 it wasn't just me, by the way. It's way bigger than me. There was a community that we had on Instagram. They did a lot of work. Once she has the like funds for herself, then she can think about, talk to others, see if she can exchange it into cash. We know that there are others using it. She knew somebody who asked for advice, and then he advised her to route it through his wallet. These donations that she said might come, and immediately that was like a red flag. Like, you're missing the point. Like, you're trusting somebody else to hold your, like, it's peer to peer. You just get it yourself. Like, it's so there's that kind of learning that gave me an indication that there is some sort of market going on, and potential still. I think it's still early days for this, but I'm not sure if I satisfied your.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's a well-known problem. Like, when you go in the real world and there's no banking infrastructure, you don't have an account in Europe, all these basically GoFundMe, that's where the real problem starts, right? So Bitcoin is good, it's borderless, but then in the real world there is an adoption, or you need a way to exchange it. And if it's the exchange is in the black market, you end up like 20% fee like in the bank. So I know about the problem, so I was just asking what's the situation in there, because for sure it's not easy.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. But I think it's an option for them that in a way that they don't have, in a way they don't have options.
MJ, there's some questions here. We just take them as they come.
Yep.
This might be a stupid question, but
good.
Are there not ATMs in Gaza, or?
A lot of the infrastructure has been destroyed.
Okay.
So they've been like
So
bombed, and then
so you cannot access.
so they
a
like physically
functioning
can't. There was one left at one stage, but again, it was surrounded by armed people, and it's not safe. And also not accessible. No, it's a good question. It's a good question.
Basically the same situation as BOV and Slima in the morning.
When you compare that situation, which is like impossible, and then you think of this like solution as like possible, like maybe not like it might not work for everyone, but there's potential and it's possible, and it might give some hope. Even the idea, I think, alone gives a lot of hope to these people.
Next question.
Have you guys thought about maybe USD stablecoins instead? I know it sounds maybe a little bit niche, but it's more cash-like. And in theory, it's also redeemable for real US dollars. Maybe not for the average person, but so there is value here, right? And it's closer to cash and more graspable, I suppose.
It's true, yeah. I actually tried to do some research into what's like happening, what I can see online from how it's being used, and I didn't have enough time to do enough to make a slide about it. But from what I read, people are using USDT for this exact reason. So that's a really good point. I'm a little bit like I'm a bit of a Bitcoiner, so I think the idea of like I have a slide here of I think it's next. Let me see. Yeah, this character here. He's called Handala. It's a Palestinian cartoonist. The cartoonist has since been martyred, unfortunately. But he's a face of he's an image of the Palestinian struggle. And I have a quote from the artist himself about his hands are clasped behind his back as a sign of rejection at a time when solutions are presented to us the American way. And this character, he's born 10 years old, he'll always be 10 years old. It's the time the artist left his homeland, and the laws of nature do not apply to him. He's unique, and things will become normal again once his homeland returns, and then he'll start resuming. But the fact that he's a symbol of like the a rejection of the American way, I have a personal bias that like Bitcoin and like USDT. But I think in practicality, USDT is what people are using because it's what they know, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, maybe just to chime in, like a rather close example, like I went to Lebanon roughly 2 years ago. It was going through hyperinflation back then, like the Lebanese currency had like 2,000% inflation per year. And it was a very, very similar situation, not a similar situation in that sense, but I mean, of course, there was also civil war before. But the banks rug pulled everyone, so you could not go to the ATM, like everything, all of the infrastructure was crashed. yeah, like you couldn't get anything, and I was a stupid Westerner just there with my credit card. Didn't pack any dollars, any euros, or whatever. And then I was like in this country, traveling to a festival. But yeah, anyway, like what happened there was basically when I tried to get some dollars there, I just went to like a phone shop and paid them with stable coins, and this was like 2 years ago. And basically the guys over there, like of course it wasn't Beirut, which is like a major city. I don't know how many million people there live, but there are ways, and I imagine there are also ways in Gaza. But I mean, similar. Yeah, not same.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think the stable coins is easier for people to understand. It's something they can relate to. They know the value of it, and it's easier for them to accept, I think. So that's great to hear.
One more question here.
Hey, Michael. Just wanted to say hello. I'm doing similar work. Please do stop by and let's merge our efforts, okay? I've got some humanitarian work that I'm doing, and let's merge efforts rather than working separately, okay?
Sounds good.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Come up here.
Talk
please.
after.
Okay, if there's no more questions.
Any more questions? This is my friend Aya at the moment. She's with her family in the north of Gaza, as I said. This is a QR code. So she's using Tumblr for her community. So you can read her story with this Tumblr, and she posted her Bitcoin address on her Tumblr today. So if anybody wanted to help out somebody directly, you can do so today. Right now, it won't take too much time. I hope it works. But yeah, you can read her story as well, because her Tumblr, you'll see over the last few months what she's been up to, the people supporting her. I haven't used Tumblr before. I created my account just today just to check it out. But yeah, I know they'd be forever indebted, and it's a nice way to support for our community to use our technology for what it's like intended for in a big way, that like we can give sovereignty back to people that need it most. So that's yeah. If anyone has any more questions, we can continue talking as well afterwards. But thanks for listening, and it's been amazing to present.
We are a crypto-native community that aims to learn and share knowledge together. Join us at SOHO, The Strand, every Wednesday to dive into our questions section live.